Hi, I'm Eric.
Hey, I'm Haley.
And we're here to show you how to plant this tree today. So the first thing that we need to do is determine where we're going to plant our tree. What you want to do is make sure you're avoiding any overhead power lines, any public infrastructure like sidewalks, and any buildings. You want this tree to be able to grow to its maximum height and not be involved in any of these obstructions. One of the first things that we need to do is determine how big to make our hole. I'm using this yardstick here, and as you can see, this pot measures in a little more than 11 inches. So I'm going to take the yardstick, I'm going to triple that amount because we want the hole to be triple the amount of size. So one of the things that we want to do is remove this top layer of grass and sod here. Using a wheelbarrow is great for a couple of reasons. And now that we have the soil contained here, we're not making a mess in our yard, but also it gives us the opportunity to look through the soil and pick out the things we don't want. Here's some crabgrass roots that we don't want in there. We're going to get those out. Gives me a chance to also break up these dirt clods, get out any of the large rocks that I don't want inside of here. The soil's looking pretty good. Now that we have the hole dug, we're going to check to make sure that we have this at the right height inside of the hole. If this is too deep, this could kill the tree. So it's okay to plant a tree a little too high, but if you plant it too low, it's going to kill your tree. So one thing I like to do is I like to pull it out of the pot, set it into the center of the hole, and now I can lay down and eyeball it to see. And I can already tell you, my tree is about 2 inches too deep. So at this point, all I have to do is add back in some soil, get the tree to the right height, and then we can fill it in the rest of the way. So now that we have the tree at the right height from the hole, this is the perfect opportunity to check for girdling roots. What we mean by that is sometimes when trees are grown in containers like this, the roots of the tree will go to the edge of the container and start spinning around in a circle. If we don't correct this now at the time of planting, the roots will continue to grow in a circle for the rest of the life of the tree, which is detrimental to the health of it. So we'll take a quick inspection here, and as you can see, there are some roots that's starting to grow in a circle. Notice I'm gently pulling them away and feathering them out. That root eventually is going to become a longitudinal root, which will be a great support root for the tree structure. I'm going to keep coming around and finding these and pulling them out where I can. We want to get that one out just like that and get it out. So I'm going to go around the edges, make sure they're nice and loose. They're headed out. Some will break off, which is okay. Just want to get those roots out in the right direction so it doesn't harm the tree in the long run, just like that. So now we're ready to fill in the hole. This is a major and very important part of the process because we don't want to compact the soil by tamping it back in with our feet. We want to, when we pour the soil back in, Haley and I are just going to use our hands to tamp it back in. Sure, this is our last chance to pick out any of the things we don't want that's in there, like that crabgrass root. So we've went to a lot of pains here to make sure that we're not going to bury the root flare of the tree. And where you can determine that is as the tree is going down into the ground, you'll see it flare out and you'll see some roots coming away from the tree. That is the root flare. That is the level that the tree wants to be at. We don't want to bury this part right here because the tree is going to do all sorts of strange things. It's going to think that instead of growing roots, it's going to grow stems and it'll become water shoots. Water shoots pull nutrients away from the top of the tree. The tree doesn't want to grow that way. So we want to make sure we have this pulled back. We expose the root flare. And we're not even going to cover this area up with mulch when we're done. We want to keep this nice and open. Another thing we like to do at Asheville GreenWorks when planting trees is we like to put down a little bit of cardboard right before we put the mulch on top of it. What this is going to do is this is going to help weeds from growing up, and it'll also keep this tree nice and moist in the hottest parts of the years. And we're going to make sure that we don't cover up the root flare. Just like that. Okay, now it comes to the last and final stage, which is watering your tree. The first time you water your tree, you're going to give it more water than normal. I've got a bucket of 2.5 gallons of water here. I'm going to start right here in the center and slowly pour it in. nice and slow. So now, what does the aftercare look like for this tree? What we want you to do is, after the giveaway, is to immediately put this tree in the ground. In our nursery, it's used to being watered twice every day, so we want you to get this in the ground as quick as you can when you get home so it doesn't die. After you get it planted, we want you to water this tree all the way up to the first frost of the year. In our area here, it's usually late October when we start getting our first frost. After that, the tree is going to start going dormant, and it's not going to need to be watered until we get into spring around bud break. That's going to be about mid-April. That's when you're going to start back watering it. This tree is going to need about 1 gallon to 2 gallons of water a week, and you want to give it to it nice and slow and not all at once. You can also determine what's going on with your tree if it's starting to look withered. Now, this is the fall of the year. The tree's leaves are starting to fall off, but if they start showing like this in the summertime, you're going to want to make sure your tree is nice and hydrated. If you're getting a lot of rain that week, maybe you can skip that week and just go to intermittent watering. It's easy to kill a tree by not watering it or watering it too much. You're going to do this for the first year of its being in the ground. Afterwards, it should be in pretty good shape. If you could do us a special favor, so after you're done planting your trees, you got this pot. If you didn't damage it, we'd love it if you could return it back to the nursery here. If you look here in the nursery, we've got a huge pile of pots. We wash them and we reuse them in our nursery. These pots are expensive. The whole process is expensive, and we want to continue to offer free trees to our residents. So if you could, and it's no bother, please bring it by and drop it off at our nursery anytime. Thank you. If you have any more questions, please reach out to us at AshevilleGreenWorks.org. Thanks.